Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the E-Report. Today is another special segment, our Youth Wisdom segment. And with us today is a very powerful guest. We're going to be talking about fashion, talking about how to build a thriving clothing brand. Welcome the studio with us today, the CEO of Dulam, Miss Christelle.
Thank you.
We're very, very happy to have you with us here today. Yeah, a big name apparently.
Apparently. I didn't
So,
know.
yeah. Okay, now you know.
Well,
All right, so just tell us more about yourself.
well, Christelle is a young Cameroonian, young entrepreneur, like many Cameroonians, trying to make means, trying to uh, be on my own, stand out. And I'm 32, 32 years old. I am a translator by profession, but I love designing, which is my passion. So I thought, why not? Why not draw? Why not create something which could be profitable to me and at the same time satisfy my hobby, like what I like.
So have you always been passionate about designing from like a younger age or just it just came up after a while?
Well, I could say not a younger age, not like somebody would say I started singing from the age of 2 years old.
Yeah.
No. Well, I could say I've always loved drawing, just drawing anything. And after some time, I something caught my interest. I had a friend who used to design some stuff, and then I was like, why not draw? Why not draw designs? Why not create? Why not use my creativity to design T-shirts and stuff? Yeah, that's how it came to me,
All
and I
right.
started.
Could you say one of those students in school that who have like drawings behind their books, drawing their
Yeah,
notebooks?
sometimes, yeah, but most of the time, I used to draw even on my table, I used to draw everywhere
So it's a
practically.
deep passion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what has it been like? Tell us about Dulam, like the name. Okay, let's first say.
Okay,
What does Dulam signify?
Dulam means my love, actually. It means my love. In the Douala language, it
Yeah.
means my love. And I chose this name because I was looking for a name which is more cultural, like a tribal, a traditional something to describe my passion, actually, my love, my
Oh.
passion, yes. So I chose Ndulam for a name for my brand.
That's so cute. I'll say.
Thank you.
All right, so tell us now more about the growth. What about like the growth of Dolam so far? Like maybe
Okay.
did you start the name when you started the business? Where you just like, oh, Dolam immediately, or it's like later on you're like, okay, let's call this Dolam.
Well, like every business, we don't just have the right idea at at first sight, I could say. You think about it, you start, you try and error. Like when I started in 2017, per se, I used my initials as a brand name. It was like MKM. That was my starting name
What does
the
that
starting name for
signify
my
for
brand.
full?
Well, Mukuri Christelle Madeleine. I
Okay.
used MKM, like my initials, the initials of my name.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and then I was like, I need something which actually portrays the brand. It's an African brand, portraying African designs, African culture, and everything. I need something which like attaches me to the culture. So that's how I looked for, because I'm not proud to say, but I don't speak much of my dialect. So I had to look for, how do you say maybe my hobby in my dialect. I asked, and they were like, dialect doesn't just translate directly.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
they
true.
use words which are not, and all that. And then I thought, why not my love? A hobby is something you love.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, why not Why not my love? And that's how the name Dulam came to.
Came to,
Yeah.
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 So, how long have you been in the clothing brand business?
I would say that's probably about 8 years now.
8.
Since, yeah, probably about 8 years also. Since 2017, 2016. Yeah.
Would you say that over the past 8 years, like presently, it is easier compared to when you began, or the challenges are somewhat still the same?
Well, I would say there have been a lot of growth. The challenges can't be the same because once you have experience, you you don't face the same challenges. You have solutions to problems you used to have. Like in 2017, the problems I used to have, the difficulties I used to face in 2017 are not the same I face today. Let's say I've had solutions, I've looked for ways to make things better, and I've had solutions. Now I know how to go about the business. I know if I want to, let's say, get t-shirts, if I want to get some fabrics, if I want to get best qualities of various designs and everything, I know where to go to. Rather than in 2017, I was still like doing a lot of try and error, try and
Yeah.
error. Yeah. Now I know where I can get exactly what I want. And now with a like client base, a lot of clients, I know a lot of people, and people who are actually interested in my brand, interested in what I do. So it's much more better. Like I can say I'm at the same level. You cannot be doing something for 8 years and you're at the same level
Yeah,
for
that's
eight
true.
years. If not, you have to change profession. Yeah.
Indeed. So, what would you say is the your favorite part of what you do?
Okay. Well, my favorite part is creating. Creating. I like creating. I've always been good with my hands, I think. I've always been good at like just building things or trying to create something new.
Yeah.
I always learn online. I use mostly YouTube as a tool. I learn online. I learned how to sew online. I learned practically everything online. I just knew how to draw. The rest I learned online. I sew. Uh, so most of my designs I sew them myself. I go to YouTube. I look for a tutorial on how to sew, let's say, a short or a pullover or a cap. We have these caps.
Yeah.
For example, I went to YouTube. I look for a tutorial how to sew a bob cap, and I just follow the steps. I do the cutting, I assemble the pieces, and then I have exactly what I need.
Oh.
Yes. So I think my favorite part is creating something African, purely African, or something which is, let's say, what I would say the white man produces, but in an African style, in an African fashion. I think that's what my best part of it all.
So, with the work you do, I see you're really into promoting the African culture, and maybe from the name Dolam. Would you say sometimes there's a difficulty in like blending the whole of Africa into a design, or because some people can feel like maybe a design is more of this part, showing more of this part, and no more of this part. Do you face that difficulty to actually just like exhibit Africa as a continent through your designs?
Yes, I would say that because we still have a lot of limitations as Africans. There are a lot of things I would love to uh, portray, a lot of things I would love to do, but I can't do it because we are still very limited in Cameroon. There are still a lot of fabrics we don't have. For example, I would love to be able to create my own t-shirt rather than because we buy t-shirts, we import t-shirts.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
true.
because I don't know, we don't make them, we don't manufacture t-shirts in Cameroon. We import them. We don't have the adequate, let's say, materials or fabrics or whatever they use to make the t-shirts. I would really love to one day be able to make my own an African t-shirt, a Cameroonian t-shirt, for example, like from zero to actually having the t-shirt done, like worn and everything. That's a limitation to the business, to say it like that.
So, still on Africa, when we look at fashion per se, I think most people want to appreciate more the fashion maybe from the whites, the Western fashion, because they are really gone all out. Would you say Africa has stepped up with its fashion, and maybe just that people in Africa don't really know how much advanced the fashion has been, or we are still backward?
Well, I would say we have evolved, we have greatly improved. We now have a lot of African channels. We have Fashion Africa, which is a channel it's purely an African fashion channel. Like right there, you see a lot of runway shows. You see a lot of shows organized by Africans in different parts of Africa. Rather than before, we couldn't see those. We saw Africans maybe over there, like wearing the Western culture here and there. Like Africans were used for different cultures rather than theirs. So now we see more of African, and I think even the Ankara fashion is out there more than ever before.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, a lot of people um, actually want to be dressed African now when they go out there. They are no longer shy or I would say ashamed of their culture, because sometimes we used to think our culture is backward. Like if you're going for an official ceremony, you cannot dress African, purely African. You have to wear a coat and all. But now you see more people dressing African, like actually coming out in an African
I say even,
outfit.
even whites, I've noticed that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So now they actually want to look like us somehow. It's a reverse something that's happening in the fashion world. And they are always looking for something new. I've seen a lot of the Western culture. It's now so, I think it's on,
Mundane a little
yeah,
bit.
it's past. So now we want something new, and the African fashion is actually standing out.
Okay. So let's talk about the clothing brand, building a clothing brand. How hard is it?
Well, I'll say it's quite hard being in Cameroon. It's
Oh,
quite hard
okay.
because there are a lot of gadgets, there are a lot of things you could have which could ease the building of a brand, which as a common Cameroonian you won't be able to have. Yes. I can say it's hard because the means you can have all the ideas, but there are limitations. You'll be limited. You don't have gadgets because everything now has to be personalized. You want to have your own brand, you need your logo done, you need your packaging to be top notch, you need like everything to be top notch. And once you have to turn to somebody else to do it for you, you have to pay here, pay there. Meanwhile, if you had the gadgets, if you had the equipment to do that by yourself, like create your own packaging, create your own logo and everything, you don't need to step out. Just in your room, you've created your design, you've printed, you've done anything you want to do, you've packaged, and it's ready for delivery. But you have to go from this place, let's say a printer, you have to meet a printer to do your packaging, you have to advertise, you have to do a lot of things you have to do. So actually uh, make your brand stand out.
What are certain strategies, like specific strategies you think you have to put in place for when you're running a clothing brand to make it progress?
Well, there's a lot of marketing. There's a lot of marketing. It's actually a combination of a lot of things. It's not just creating a unique design. You can create a unique design, but your brand doesn't still blossom. Like it doesn't stand out or it's not known. You have to like actually study your marketing strategy, have a good marketing strategy, and then have a target public or customers, have target customers. And I think what else, there are many other things that actually combine to make you a successful brand owner or a successful brand. Yeah.
Okay. So talk about something like a clothing brand. We can see very much that branding, just being the name itself, is a very big aspect of it. So
Yeah.
what are some of your favorite things you think you have used in branding your business that you feel like someone who is like looking to get into cloth branding themselves might implement, and that was really going to change it for them?
Okay. I think my packaging, which was very special, I actually ordered from China to have a unique. In fact, once you have a brand, you always need to have unique things,
Okay.
things that are not found everywhere. Once you have something unique, you know that at least many people look for what is unique.
Yeah.
Many people look for what is different from others. They don't want what is everywhere. You see, like for example, packaging, as I was saying, you have these wrappings with just your names on top, and that's it. But I went in for ziplock designed ziplock bags with my name, my logo, and my contact on it. So it made it different. Each time I delivered something, an article to someone, the person was like, "Wow, it's different. It's
Yeah.
actually different." Yeah. So it attracted more people to the brand and all that. I think my packaging is what I would.
Yeah, that's so true, because I think a lot of people buy things more for the experience
Oh yeah,
than the article itself. So when you're branding, you're selling more of an experience than just the
just the
commodity.
commodity. Yeah.
Okay, now that's the good part of all this branding. What is the part that you feel like when someone is getting into clothes branding will be the most discouraging? What's the most discouraging aspect of doing clothes branding in Cameroon or in Africa?
I wouldn't say discouraging. Oh well, there are a lot of things that would discourage entrepreneurs in Africa or in Cameroon in general. We Africans don't, first of all, support our brothers that much. We don't really support. But I could say we've grown a lot more. Africans are a bit more supportive than before. And the fact that Cameroonians don't support their brothers, like, somebody who does something, but you don't buy from them. You're not supporting the person's business, you're not promoting the person's business. So that's one thing that could discourage an entrepreneur. And now as a starter, when you're into business, there are a lot of losses at the beginning. And if you're not strong, somebody said entrepreneurship is not for the weak. If you're not strong,
That's a true statement.
if you're not strong, you easily give up.
Yeah.
And once you give up, you're failed. You have not failed until you give up. Yeah. So when you lose a lot of money, your time, you feel discouraged. And most of the time that could discourage a young entrepreneur. I'll also say sometimes the partners, various partners, because you cannot work alone. You cannot do everything alone. Sometimes you look for partners, sometimes you look for somebody else who does some other thing to do something for you, but they might end up disappointing you. Like me, for example, I started with, I used to work with a tailor. I have my ideas, I've drawn my design, I know I want it this way. But I'll go to the tailor and the tailor would produce something totally
Another experience.
Totally out of it. And I'm like, the design that I wanted is not, it's not given, it's not out there. That's not what I wanted. So most people can abandon at that level because you want something to be done this way, but it's never done that way.
Yeah.
But the idea is really to look for solutions. Once I was faced with that particular incident, I decided to buy my machine and started learning how to sew. And I started sewing my designs myself the way I wanted them, and everything. Everything came out the way I wanted actually. So once you give up before even getting there, you don't know what you would have had.
Oh.
So there are a lot of things that could actually discourage. There is also, let's say, the the financial state of the country. I would say many Cameroonians cannot really afford or don't want to afford. Sometimes we say they cannot afford, but some don't want to afford. Some are willing to pay much more to get, let's say, things from Gucci,
Dubai,
things from
Turkey.
big designers. Big designers, they started like us, right? They started like us, but they had the opportunity, they had the exposure and everything. They got where they are. And they are not even part of our culture, but we prefer those things. We prefer to spend money, Supreme, buy things, Supreme, Gucci, Dolce, or whatever, whatever.
Ocean
Yeah,
Gopala.
we prefer those brands than our own brands, which are even more original sometimes. So, yeah. So it's very discouraging as an entrepreneur. And sometimes you run errands like to actually satisfy a client. And for you to get to the client and the client is like, oh, this is not what I wanted. Or why is this thing even this expensive and all that? Like
Those
sometimes,
questions.
yeah, it's very discouraging. There are a lot of things really. I can name them.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, there's actually some sort of internalized discrimination that Cameroonians have for Cameroonians themselves when it comes to fashion.
Exactly.
And as much as we can, I think on my point of view, as much as we can put Cameroonians that, okay, they are not so supportive, I think there are times when I have sat down to watch fashion shows and maybe like just designers exhibiting their work. And you find out actually there are beautiful designs that
Very
Cameroonians have
beautiful,
done.
actually.
But there is a problem. I feel like those designs are kept solely for the elite. Uh, honestly.
You see,
Yeah.
you see, solely for the elite.
Like,
How?
okay, like I don't get to see, like when you see such designs out there, right? I cannot tell you for life of me where to find them out in the streets. Is it like maybe when they are presented on the runway, when they arrive at the market, they don't actually go that far because Cameroonians are blocking it, or the fact that maybe they are just sold on a very tight budget? Because I always felt like when I saw this, I'm like, okay, so a Cameroonian designed this, where can I find it? Where can I find this? So what do you think that the fashion business is like? It's like somehow biased, or it's still more about us Cameroonians being
It's
Cameroonians?
more of the Cameroonians being biased. I would say, um, I would say in this generation, we, the young entrepreneurs, we turn out to use mostly social media. We turn out to focalize on having shops online and not actually having the physical shop. Because as an entrepreneur, when you start your business, you cannot just go into opening a shop. It's expensive. You have taxes to pay. You have a lot of things that come with it. And if you're not sure of having a revenue at the end of the month to pay all those taxes, to handle your rent and everything, it's going to crumble like in less than 2 or 3 months. Yeah, you're sure to be bankrupt. Now, most Cameroonians, like every other youth, we use the internet. We actually use the
A
internet
lot.
a lot. We have contacts on the internet. You have everything you need to know, like on the internet. I seen there's a young girl who does painting on t-shirts, and she actually uses TikTok mostly to advertise her brand, and she has grown so much. Like from she has a lot of followers, a lot of orders just on TikTok because she has a contact on TikTok. So you will not tell me that you see an article and you want it, but you don't know where to get it. Already, once you have the name, you just go online. You look for the person's page. Obviously, if you don't have a page, a social media handle these days, I don't know, that means I don't know what you're doing. Yeah. So obviously you will know where to find, you just get the contact, you order, and then you get whatever you want. I can't say we're hiding our products. We're not hiding our products. So
Okay, so let's just see I've settled that matter.
yeah.
So, if you could go back, say you have been running Dulam for 8 years now,
Yeah.
with everything you know now, if you could go back 8 years to the beginning, like still having all the knowledge you have now, what do you think you would have done differently then? Starting up.
Well, I think I would have saved more. I would have saved more because as young entrepreneurs, we fail sometimes to keep accountability. Sometimes, like when you're into business, you feel like business money is your money, but business money is not your money. It's never your money. When you do business, you need to have your money for your needs separate from business money. The moment you get into business money, you don't really feel the profit you're making. You keep on reusing. At some point, you even lack your own capital to reinvest. But once you do business, it's like a boomerang process. You invest to gain, and so on and so forth. But if you invest to gain and you use your gain in something else, in doing something else, the moment you need to invest again, you don't have the gain anymore. You don't have the money to invest again. And now you get short. You can't produce some maybe new designs. You can't produce. You keep waiting for people to, let's say, just order. You get some gain again and you use, and it becomes quite funny sometimes. Sometimes you don't. Some people even order things you need to pre-finance. You need to produce and go to them for them to, let's say, sort you out. But you can't do that when you don't have the means. So I think if I had to do something differently, I would learn how to manage my business better, like have accountability and separate my business money from, let's say, my daily needs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would,
That's actually a very excellent hack because I think sometimes with Cameroonians as entrepreneurs, or let me just say entrepreneurs in general, when you are going to business and you are looking just as the business will give me money for the day, then it cannot actually grow to a particular level because every money you get out in a day goes a day. And the next day you try keep fighting for the next day. So you don't actually see yourself make any significant progress
profit,
at the end of the day.
yeah.
So with all of that, it's very important to have some sense of financial management.
Exactly.
And that's not something that everybody gets taught in school. So you as an entrepreneur dealing with a clothing brand, having to separate all of that, was there any point that you had to like intentionally be like, no, at this point I have to put in a lot of time into learning how to manage my finances?
Well, I would say it came with time. It's not like I actually went into or had a training or something. It actually came with time. I understood with time that I'm not doing the right thing. I'm not doing the right thing. And the moment I separated everything. I had a book. I started jotting down exactly what was spent, how the money came in, or what I sold, what I gained. The moment I separated it, I had a book to follow up my expenditures and everything. I realized actually made gain. I actually made gain. So it just came, I just thought about it and had a solution. Yeah, just thought of a solution and a way to handle the business. I didn't really go for training or anything. Yeah.
All right. So I've talked a lot about the clothing and talked about fashion, But I always believe that building a clothing brand and being a fashion designer, even though they're in the same line, they are also very different things.
Yeah.
And we have seen your clothing brand, the caps and everything. But I'd like to know now you more of as a fashion designer, what's the vision in that particular aspect?
Vision as in as
Like
in
when you say fashion design, okay, do you want to see like your dress up design run down a runway in coming years? Or you're more of just like just still the low key African
well,
designs?
I would say I'm a low key kind of designer. I don't really like I'm more of ah, in fact it's a mixture. It's a kind of mixture. But I'll put myself as a low key kind of designer. I'm not really the kind of designer who does, let's say, big fashion outfits, those kind of things. I do things like t-shirts or jackets, things that accessories actually, not really like outfits. It's true. Sometimes I design outfits for people and all that, but I'm just low key for the moment. Not yet thinking about that. It's true. Sometimes I actually go in, like I'm invited for shows where I have to have my articles on the runway. So sometimes, yeah, I do, but it's not really my goal. It's not really what I want to do. It's not
Yeah,
that
so
way.
so if there was like this opportunity and they're like, oh Dolam, come
I
and
will for
show.
sure. I will for sure. I always like if I have an invitation, I always just show up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But now thinking of actually going in for a contest, like a
Oh,
fashion contest,
yeah.
I still I'm not somebody I don't like the camera so much, so I'm
So
still
this one is somehow scary.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe yes, maybe yes.
It's understandable. Like the times when even when we are doing things we're passionate about, we still don't want to be seen as a person doing the things.
Yeah,
Like we just want to be and watch the things being done. I
exactly.
think
If I could, I would do that all the time because I don't like to be like put in front. Like, okay, you are the one doing this. I like my creations to talk for themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the beauty of them. They attract people. People want to wear it. Like a ghost creator somehow sometimes. But well, it can't be that way.
It
So
can't be that way. That's
yeah.
what I learned the hard way as well because even now hosting the airport, I think initially I was like the person behind cameras in the event just be like, oh, when they say like, I want to take a picture, yeah, give me the camera, I'll take a picture. So now being like, I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
But like you say, if you want to actually get to a particular level, you actually sometimes have to face the enemy that is a camera
Exactly.
and get it done.
Exactly.
So can you
Exactly.
just give us like a range for, I think we've yeah, heard everything you do, but just give us a range of all the things you produce. Because some of them might be like, oh, they need something from Dulam, but what can Dulam do for them? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I produce mainly t-shirts. Mainly t-shirts. I produce caps. We have various caps. I have bob caps, the fat round caps, hats. I produce puffer jackets, the ones you use for big cold, winter, not what we use here in Africa, not these common jackets. I actually produce the ones you can use for winter or against heavy cold. And I produce what else? The pullovers, the ones you can use here. I produce what else? Shorts. I produce I produce t-shirts for the Lions. Yeah, most of the time, or I have various collections of the Lions t-shirts, and you will see them on my pages. And what else? I think many more things. Trousers, sometimes beanie hats. what else? Mufflers, a lot of things actually.
So can someone get you to like create something personalized to them, not necessarily from the Dulam, but just like personalized to what they are looking for?
Yeah, sure. I'm always down for anything creation. I always like to taking a challenge. I always like to do that. And like some brands even get to me for their, let's say they want to produce personalized t-shirts, they want to produce personalized shirts. Dr. Chaps is a is a good customer. Yeah, so yeah, I do that.
All right, then let's not forget this. This very cute
Oh
one.
yeah.
I got mine the last that the chef brains.
Yeah, life is
Life is
bread.
bread.
Life is bread
So
show.
cute. When the person was like, just give me one because I need one.
Yeah, yeah. I thought about this once, like
So I like this one. It's so cute.
at least to have a souvenir from
Yeah.
Dulam, like it's a good idea to just have few small things, you know. It's good to create things for like at everybody's level. Like think about those who can afford maybe the least stuff.
Yeah.
Like a bracelet at least. It's good to have it. Like somebody you just wear it and they're like, oh, what is Nolam? Then you tell the person, okay, this
Oh
is
my
yeah.
love.
So
Now actually that I know what it means. I'm like, oh.
that's advertisement actually.
Yeah.
There are little things like that, little hacks that I use for to advertise your business actually. So it's good. It looks good on your hand though.
Thank you.
You should get more articles.
That's advertising again. A businessman at heart,
Always,
apparently.
always.
Always.
Entrepreneurs are always advertising their products.
And they should. They
So
should.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't talk 5 minutes without advertising my products. So
That's powerful. Get that hack, guys. Entrepreneurs.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
shut their business. Keep
Exactly,
talking. Keep
exactly.
talking. There's a question we have here. So where do you see your business in 5 years?
I see myself. I always look up to big brands like I Am, like Enjoy Yourself. Those are Cameroonian brands who deal with African fabrics. They deal with that a bit like my big brothers in the business world in Cameroon. Like they produce, I think they've had a lot of experience. They are already right up there. I don't consider myself being right up there for the moment. I think I'm just in the middle for now.
All right.
So
Humble,
in
humble.
like 5
Stay humble.
years, yeah, in like 5 years, I see myself right there.
You give me an impression of someone that even if you are at that point, you still be like, no camera, please.
Surely,
No camera, please.
obviously, I will, cause I actually don't fancy the camera that much. I said that already. Yeah,
I fancy being
don't-
behind, but like situation,
I could be behind the
situations at
camera.
hands.
I could actually be behind the camera, but in front, really. But well, when I'm called by people like you, I have to honor
Am I not so
the
honored?
invitation.
I brought a very rare specimen to our camera today.
Oh yeah, a rare specimen.
All right, I think that's very, very interesting. Everything, I think we've learned so much. So another question, do you do training for those getting into the business, those who may be looking to get into a clothing brand? Can they get you for training?
Sure. Always. You learn by teaching. I believe you learn by teaching.
Yeah, I've heard that statement
And
before.
yeah. Once you're open to teaching to some other person, there's always one or two things you can learn. So it's always good to be available for others. So I'm open to that. I've helped other people create their brands. I've shown them how to go about it. It takes a lot, but I'm open for training others. Yeah, I have no issue.
That's very interesting. And I think I want to say, when it comes to clothing brands, I feel it's so much more than people think. When someone says they have been able to establish like a brand, put it on a shirt, and people want to buy it because it is that brand. Because normally
Exactly.
anyone could just take a shirt, write something cute on it and sell
Yeah.
it. But to make it a point that people are looking, oh, I want this one. Yeah.
This one in
This
particular.
one in particular? What do you think could be that one secret ingredient? If you want to say one thing, I know there can be so many things. What do you think is that one thing that now makes your brand become something that people call a brand? Like not just a shirt anymore. It's no longer about just a shirt, not about just a wristband, a cap. It's now more about the brand.
I think it's about making a difference.
Okay, tell
I
us more about
always
that.
focus on making a difference. You can't, as I said earlier, you can't want to create something and you're just copying from what others have done.
Okay.
Make a difference. Do something new, something that doesn't exist. Or even if it exists, make it better.
Better.
Yeah. You can't produce the same thing and you want people to be crazy about it. They've seen it here, they've seen it there. What makes it different? I think I always focus on that, making a difference.
So finding the uniqueness in what you're doing.
Yeah. Something unique, something different, or something purely Africa.
Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've another question. So what's your inspiration? What inspired you? This question is so nice. What inspired you to go like, okay, t-shirt branding?
Okay, what inspired me? I think it's a friend. I learned from a friend. In those days, she had a brand. Her brand was Face Fashion. I think Face Fashion. I learned from her. I saw the way she used to design T-shirts, and I was like, why not? Why not create something a bit different? It's true, the designs were a bit, I would say, in her own way. Those were her designs. So I was like, why not? Why not try to actually make it, create some more, how can I say, mature designs, some more attractive
It's artistic.
designs. Yeah. Use any other thing because she used to use just the fabrics on the t-shirts. So I started actually drawing t-shirt designs. I drew. And then for sometimes we actually partnered. We partnered in the business. I learned a lot and then at some point in time we went our separate ways. So I think that's where the inspiration came from. Because I wouldn't have thought of that if not of her actually.
So I can say thank God to.
Yeah, thanks to Face Fashion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're done today, but then again, before we go, there's one more question. So can you make a good living with this in Cameroon, or you still need a 9 to 5 job?
Well, that's the
Yeah.
question. That's the real
A
question.
heavy question, actually.
Yeah. I think you can make a living out of it. You
Okay.
can make a living. If you're doing just that, yes, you can make a living out of it. You just need to have a good business plan. You need to plan well, have everything, like you've calculated everything, and really focus on it. It's true, I don't just do this for a living. I'm a translator, I have other things I do. So I cannot say, let's say within the years, maybe my growth has been a bit slow because I have other things doing at the same time. But if I was doing just that, like focusing on that 100%, I would say you can make a living out of it. You have other brands. You have, as I said, I am. If you see I am today, they have a lot of employees. They have a lot of shops and all that. They are right up there. You can actually make a living out of creating your own designs, having your own t-shirt brand or brand. You can make a living if you plan well and like grow your business each day, knowing how to really take care of your business, because it's not just having something that gives you money, because most Cameroonians fail because they just want something that gives them
The
money.
money.
The moment you have the money, you forget about what is giving you the money. Meanwhile, what is giving you the money still has to undergo a lot. You still have to invest a lot in it. You cannot use a car and you don't fuel it. You don't do the maintenance. So the moment you are just using and using and using, you at the end of the day you find yourself having big problems. Yeah. And at the end of the day the business falls. So it boils down to the fact you don't mix business money. It's like this. The moment you cut the chain, you're failed. The moment you just break the chain, you're failed. So you need to always insert money. Yeah, that's it about the business.
So I think that will also mean that if you're someone looking to start a business and maybe you're looking for capital and you've started a business, you might actually need to have a side hustle that can help you to prevent yourself from touching that business money. One that can take care of maybe your
Well, not like that.
things.
It's not like you don't actually touch the money. Okay. For example, what I apply, that is what I devised myself. What I apply is a 20% on everything I have sold. We have your gain. You have the cost price of your article. You have your cost price, what it costs you to produce an article. For example, if I sell a t-shirt for 7,000 francs, my cost price here boils down to practically, let me say 4,000, for example. So I need 4,000 francs to produce that t-shirt that I'm selling for 7,000. So I have the 4,000. I invest 4,000 and I gain 3,000, additional 3,000. Now, when the 7,000 comes to me, I have to remove a 20% from it. Like what I do now, I save everything that comes in, and at the end of, let's say, a month, I pay myself now. I have a salary from what I gained. Not that everything that comes in, you just get in some money. So at the end of the month, I have total, like what I have the gain. I know exactly how much was gained, how much was invested. So now from the gain, that is where I have 20%, which comes back to me. And the rest of the 80% goes back to the coffers of the company. I would say it like that. So now that money can reproduce now order and so on and so forth.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
that's what I mean. But you can actually live from it. It's not that you're going to make money, but you never touch it. No, you pay yourself because you are an employee of the company. You pay yourself, you make money, but you are not going to use all the money foolishly or just anyhow. But you pay yourself, you decide on a percentage. This goes back to the company coffers. This is what you pay employees. Sometimes the company gets bigger. You will need to pay, let's say, a delivery guy. You will need to pay maybe an additional teller or this or that. From that, you deduct from what you gain. But you don't use up all your gain or plus your capital. Even now, you have to reinvest. You have no capital left and you start having issues. That's what I mean by that. Yeah.
Yeah, but also, would you say that the percentage, like, say you have to pay yourself, maybe the percentage you have to pay yourself will like change with time, because you're also going to want to look something that are going to penalize the business because you are keeping something very constant? Is it very flexible?
It's flexible because it's flexible depending on the individuals, depending on whoever is running the business. It's your decision. It was actually my decision to, okay, see, I'm going to, let's say, have 20%, depending on how strong your business is already. If your business is not strong yet, you cannot be taking up to 20% of your gain because you are going to crumble, you are going to still fail. You want the business to grow. So for a start, at the beginning, I wasn't even touching the money because I wanted the business to grow. We have to reinvest, look for bigger clients, look for a lot of things. So if you use up all your capital or you're
Okay.
taking much money from the business, you will not really gain on the long run. You will not gain. So at the beginning, I wasn't practically touching. We're more focalizing on like making the business grow. The business still needs money. Like, you know, when a child is little, you need to pet the child. Where so that's
Very true.
yeah. So it's that way. You need to actually invest to gain. You sacrifice at the beginning to gain. So with time, I think as time is going, the percentage can increase depending on each individual actually. Yeah.
And I think this last question, when you're running a clothing brand, do you believe like at a particular point there is the necessity of having a team? Like you cannot run by yourself for too long and get to a particular level of maybe success that you're aiming to get. Like you need maybe people, like you say, you have people that brains or stuff like that. If it's necessary, like if you are planning on going big or the clothing brand, you need a team.
I think it's very necessary. Nobody can live alone. Nobody can live it. Nobody is self uh, independent. Yeah. Nobody can just be and be okay. You always need somebody at least to give you a glass of water or do this or do that. So it's very important to have a team. Like now, I have a partner. I have someone who does the deliveries, and I have someone who does the printing. You can be independent somehow when you get all the maybe the machines you need. As I was saying earlier, once you have the equipment, it becomes less. You dispatch less work. But even at that, even when you get the equipment, you still need
People
somebody.
to run it.
Yes, you cannot do everything. You cannot be everywhere. You can have a large command. You have to print. Some other people have to do the delivery and so on and so on. And still you're designing. So you cannot do everything actually.
Yeah,
Cannot do.
that's true.
Yeah. So
All right, that's it. I think we've come to the end of this particular episode. If we're going out, I'm sure people are like, maybe how do we get to Miss Christelle, Miss Dulam?
yeah.
How do we get to you?
Well, you can get to me on Facebook. We have my Facebook handle Dulam. You just dial Dulam. You can get to me through Instagram. You can get to me through my WhatsApp number. I'm very available for people, especially people who want to order stuff. So, yeah. So feel free to contact me. Even for trainings, for just anything, I'm available.
All right. Thank you very much for gracing us with your very rare presence.
Very rare.
Hopefully, we're going to have you again on this camera or drag you again once more.
Oh, yeah. I need a lot of energy for me to be here.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it from the CEO herself. Do go rush out, get the Dulam t-shirt, get the caps, get this very cute souvenir have here. You can also reach out to her for trainings and so much more. I hope you have learned a lot about how to go about building a thriving clothing brand like she is building for herself. It takes work, it takes a lot of perseverance, and we hope you also find that perseverance for yourself. But till then, we'll see you on our next episode where we're going to bring to you more youths bringing you wisdom. See you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, by the way. Bye.